Alexi Trust Me is one of your rides in one of the earlier races on Saturday afternoon. Talk me through his run last time, because you held him up, a bit different to what he had been, his racing style had been, and he finished off very strongly.
Yes, that was a very interesting run. I'd say because of the draw, we had to take him back a little bit, and he had a great finish on the line, so it was very encouraging.
Was that just a matter of fact with the draw that sort of you had to take your medicine, if you will, and then obviously go back because you had obviously gone forward last time?
Well, yeah, I think so. And it was interesting to see him relax and then be able to finish that well. So I think it's just a matter of having the horse relax early part of the race wherever you are. So maybe learning from that, he should be able to run a very good race.
Is that just a negative sort of trait with the horse, that he can just over race a little bit or get a little bit fired up?
Yeah, maybe, like, not the last one, but the previous run before last start, I was leading the race quite easy. I thought I had every chances, but he just couldn't finish.
Yeah.
So it's just maybe one of these horses you just want to follow someone and having the horse a bit relaxed early stage, and maybe he can finish.
Talking of barriers and where he's being drawn, the poor horse has had rotten luck this season. I mean, more often than not have been wide barriers, but you're in 5 this time around, so is that a nice place to be from a jockey's perspective?
I think it is. Well, probably makes my life a bit easier, and it's just wherever the horse is comfortable based on the tempo, and hopefully can hit the line as strong as last time.
Do you feel that the application of the tongue tie had an effect on him last time in perhaps helping him relax? He wears it for the second time on Saturday.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably, yes.
He's a pretty well handicapped horse as well on his best, this fellow, isn't he? And in a race full of newcomers, Alexi, I guess with that experience, that will certainly stand him in good stead, and obviously yourself riding him.
Yes, definitely. Like I think it's a great chance, and I'll be disappointed if he cannot run a good place or be a winning chance.
Zach Golden Express, very impressive last time out. We're going to see him back at the races on Saturday. A bit more weight to carry, etc., but certainly justified, I think, given the manner of the win.
Yeah, he certainly showed early on that he had some ability, and then it was just a matter of trying to work out what distance suited him best and possibly the best way to ride him as well. And he's got a bit of a high cruising speed. He can get on the bit a little bit, so in some of the races when they backed it off, he did a little bit too much and then wasn't quite as effective. And he drew a couple of average gaits as well, which didn't help. But last time he finally got into a race where he just had the right gait, the right run, the right tempo, and he was obviously impressive. But he's a horse that I'd prefer to have a genuinely run race with to help him. So hopefully we can get that again.
There's a little bit of speed in the race, might well help you, of course. Recent trial for him, that was on a rain-affected all-weather, obviously certainly not knocked around. Were you happy with the way he came through the trial?
He always trials well.
Yeah.
He's a beautiful mover. He covers a lot of ground, and I thought his trial was good.
You're drawn in gate number 6. How does that complicate things in any way, or is that a good place to be?
I haven't actually had a good look at the race yet, so I'm not quite sure, but hopefully he can break cleanly. He can be a little bit grubby out the gates at times, but if he can break cleanly and get himself into a nice spot, then it's going to help us.
You've ridden one of the opposition, O-liner, in some trials, a newcomer, I guess. Would you sort of rank him as a bit of a danger, perhaps?
He's a chance. He might be improved with the run, but he's certainly got some ability, and he's going to acquit himself well.
Hugh Bowman, Togepi is one of your rides on Saturday afternoon for Tony Miller, a horse that you've ridden a couple of times, and he's certainly run respectable on both occasions.
Yeah, he certainly has. I've got a couple of nice rides for Tony on the weekend, actually, and this horse has drawn very well as opposed to last start when he drew quite wide, and I was going to be settled midfield, I was going to be wide, so I drifted back and I just couldn't make the ground up. But from a more desirable draw, I think we'll get in a really good position, and the 1400 really suits too. I think that he found the 1200 a bit sharp 2 starts ago, but I think things line up for a good performance this weekend.
I imagine the answer's perhaps obvious, but how much did that wide draw probably count against him last time? He
Well,
did finish off well.
I think it cost him, a number of lengths in the middle stages, which took its toll late in the piece. But he certainly finished off well, and I'd expect the same once again over 1400.
And just the way he's been running his races, he can let down and finish off strongly. I mean, as far as his future's concerned, do you think he might get a little bit further in due course?
I think I can see him getting a mile without any problem. He's a very kind horse, very straightforward, and you know, it took him a little while to sort of start to get into top gear, coming from well back the other day. But look, from a better draw, he's going to be in a closer position, no doubt, and he won't have that ground to make up. And with some even luck at the top of the lane, he should make his presence felt.
A race in which a number of them, Hugh, are probably that little bit more exposed than your fellow, very lightly raced. I guess that counts for a bit as well going forward.
Well, I think so, but you know, I can only go on my horse for what he's doing, and he's done everything right so far, and yeah, all set for a good show on the weekend.
Zach Victor, the winner, was mightily impressive last time. He's one of a number of good rides for you on Saturday. You must have been extremely taken by the performance.
Yeah, so he drew a good gate, and he had a light weight on his back. But he was softened up a little bit through the early to mid stages of the race, and then did a good job, I thought, to kick strongly in the straight and get the job done. We're faced with a new scenario with him here, because obviously Nervous Witness is quite quick, and he's drawn underneath us. And Victor, the winner's done all his winning in front on the fence, so he's obviously going to have to sit outside the leader and be able to handle that. Obviously he's on a little bit of a quicker backup. Danny has been vocal in saying that the horse is better when he can space his runs, but it was either running this race or we had to wait a long time for the next one. And you know, we're rolling the dice with him, and so we've got the quick backup and a racing style that hasn't been successful for him previously to contend with. We'll see how he goes.
Obviously, you've only ridden him just the once. Danny would obviously have that bit more experience with the horse, of course, having trained him throughout. Is he sort of the opinion now that maybe as he's gaining experience, as he's getting older, he might be able to take that quicker run, do you think?
Possibly, but we're going to find out, aren't we? So this is the test for him, and he'll show us.
When a horse can do that, Zach, off the front and give a good kick, obviously circumstance will play its part always, but that must be a very impressive trait for any horse to be able to do that. Obviously, it's never easy, I suppose.
It's not. You burn the candle at both ends. Yeah. Obviously, you take your position and then you've got to fight for it in the straight. So it's not easy, but that's his racing style, and that's what's worked so far.
His form's pretty good. I mean, just looking at it on paper, of course, a horse that you know well, Packing Treadmill, was one he beat last time. He's beaten Golden Express a few starts back. You ride him on the weekend as well. So as far as the form book's concerned, his form's right there with the best of them. Yeah,
and he's done it in good fashion when he's won as well. So he's certainly progressive, and hopefully we can get the job done here again and try and get him into a group race towards the end of the season.
Do you think he's of that quality? I mean, the fact he goes up the ratings with every success is going to dictate where he goes, but do you think he has a group horse in the making?
Oh, I think he showed last time. He got softened up and he ran good time, but you know, he did it with no weight on his back. It's different when they have a little bit more weight on their back. So we'll start to see where he's at, you know, from this weekend. But he's certainly trending the right way. He's a lightly raced horse that's doing a good job, and you know, I think he's telling us that he's not fully developed in the fact that he needs to space his runs. So once he matures a little bit more, there's no reason why he can't take his place.
Jamie, Simba is your runner in the final race on Saturday afternoon. He's a horse who's been holding his form quite well.
Yeah, he's been racing well. He's a nice horse. We were trying to get him into the Derby and that didn't eventuate, which was probably a blessing in disguise. We think he's a miler, 1400 metre horse. But he's been racing well. Unfortunately, he's been carrying quite a bit of weight and he's been drawing bad gates, so it has been difficult for him, but the barrier draws a little bit kinder for us on the weekend, so hopefully we can have a little bit more luck in running.
You did test the water with him over the 18, obviously in the Classic Cup. He was far from disgraced in that race.
Yeah, he didn't have a lot of luck there. He sort of, Jerry Chow rode him for us and thought he was doing the right thing, getting away from the fence, and as it worked out, he ran into a bit of trouble and had to come back to where he was anyway and finished off quite nicely. So he's a good quality horse. Like he's a good looking horse. He had good form before he arrived, and he's got a good temperament and nice way about him. So he's a pleasure to have in the stable.
He was doing some very good work late last time, running on quite nicely. Got a bit of a sort of a check, or a bit intimidated perhaps in the latter part. I'm not saying he would have won the race, but it just sort of stopped his impetus a bit, didn't it?
Yeah, he's probably peaked on his run a little bit as well. Like, he was a month between runs and we weren't sure where we were going. We were sort of ballot one for the Derby, and we didn't have enough time to give him a tick over trial. So, you know, he should improve a little bit. 3 weeks between runs and nice sort of maintenance work. So, yeah, hopefully Hugh can get him a nice run in the race and he should be a good chance.
Yeah, he does certainly look it on paper. As far as good chances are concerned, your horses have been racing really well. I think you were absent at the time, but Red Elegance was the horse I wanted to ask you about. What was your feeling after that performance from him a few weeks ago? He was very good.
Yeah, he's a nice horse. He's trialled up well. He trialled up well before he arrived, so must thank the owners for you know, giving us a chance with a nice quality horse like him. He's trialled well down the straight. He came out of Melbourne. He just doesn't corner that well yet, going right-handed. So at the moment, he's a straight horse. Handicapper didn't miss him. He got 10, so he's up to 3, which is never easy at their second start. But we like him. He's by a good sire, and hopefully he's a horse that can continue to raise the bar.
25 winners now, Jamie. Obviously, the season working its way towards its conclusion. I imagine that perhaps would have been a little target to get to that sort of figure. What else is in mind towards the end of the season? Anything you want to sort of, you know, tick off and sort of achieve before we finish your first?
We're probably going to be a little bit quiet towards the end of the season. Like, we've got some new horses arriving, but we haven't got a great deal of depth in terms of our racing ranks at the moment. We've had a few horses retired, and you know, a couple of stable transfers have disappeared, but you know, we're getting a bit more of quality around us. Like, we had a bit of a string of pretty ordinary ones there for a while, so as long as we can keep the quality up and the horses continue to race well, we'll be very happy.
Simba might well add to that tally on Saturday.
Well, we hope so. He's a nice horse, but he's got to carry the weight. But once he gets out of this grade and he gets to 2 and back down in the handicaps, I'm sure he's going to be a nice horse.